Morning, family. The song is called The Blessing. May his favor be upon you in 1,000 generations. For your family, your children. Man, that's my prayer for our church. Good morning, family. It's just that, let me turn that off, that God's favor will be on everybody. It's literally like the thing that keeps me up at night and the thing that I reflect most upon as a pastor. And that's just God's favor resting upon our congregation and our community. So that's my prayer for all of you. Good morning. Welcome to Coffee Chat. Let me pray us in. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you that you are alive and active, that you love us and you care for us. Thank you for this opportunity to talk and to share and to glean and to be transparent and to celebrate and to reflect. Would you bless now everyone that is under the sound of my voice, everyone that woke up early, they set their alarm clock. I thank you so much, God, for that faithfulness. And so I pray your blessings in Jesus' name. Amen. So listen, if you're new, I don't have a rhythm in terms of a time frame on Coffee Chats. This is my, y'all know I'm a Dunkin' Donuts guy. I'm just one cup a day, literally. That's it. But I don't like to spend a lot of like business time in the pulpit because I feel like the pulpit is for preaching. And that's always been my posture. But I do know that as things move, we're just a very active church, a very mobile church, a very nimble church. At least that's my desire for us. And, to put it in technology terms, we're not static, okay? And so I want to bring people up to speed on what's going on. I want to share my heart. I want to share changes that are upcoming and things like that. Things that I want you to be mindful of. And I just want to share my heart because I just don't think that you can get far in life without transparency. And I don't think you can get far in life, not in a sincere way, not in a impactful way, without people just being honest, right? And accountable and transparent about everything they see and feel and do. So that's all the Coffee Chat is about. It's actually a longer delay than I realized because they took me live at 5 of, and I think it was like 1 after when y'all could actually see me. So there's like a 6-minute delay, I think. So if you have questions, please put them in. And I've asked members of our ministry operations team to communicate those questions for me. And I would appreciate that. So let me go ahead and start in. It says streams, looks, and sounds good on all. Thank you so much for that, Zantre. So where do I want to begin? I'm going to begin and end in the same place. And I hope y'all can handle this. I really do. Because I don't know how else to be other than honest, right? So, because what's the purpose if we're not really willing to like bear ourselves, right, for each other? So I want to begin with thanking you for the pastoral anniversary. I was sharing with Freddie Haynes. He and I were in my office talking, and I shared with him. I said, "Look, man, this is brand new. This is not something we really do as a ministry. We've done the month of October for Clergy Appreciation, Pastor Appreciation Month, but we have not really done set aside stuff for the senior pastor." And I told him, I said, it's not been a part of our culture, and I want to begin changing the culture because one day I'm not going to be the senior pastor, and whoever is the new senior pastor one day, I want that person to feel loved and appreciated by the ministry, because I can tell you that there is a lot of it's a lot of work, and it's very difficult, and it's a calling that I don't wish on anyone because it is hard work. And And so I feel like there needs to be something that happens where people show a sense of appreciation. So I want to say thank you to everybody. Many of you have given me cards and gifts. There's a Cash App issue going on out there. I would say if you still want to do something for me, whatever you do, don't do it on Cash App. As soon as I get all that cleared out, I'm going to delete that account. It's the worst customer service on on creation. And I'm just having a ton of difficulty getting the money out, and it's just been a nightmare. So, and listen, just for your FYI, if you're giving to the church on Cash App, if you would consider moving over to Ministry One and just kind of setting up that recurring giving, or just setting it up in there, it's really simple. I mean, that's how I give. So that's a separate issue. Hadn't planned on talking about that, but I want to thank you all again for the anniversary acknowledgments and wishes. I'm hesitating because I'm like, I don't know that I want to share this, but I'm going to go ahead and share it. And so it was hard for me because it was a really poorly attended service, and it wasn't lost on me the number of leaders not present, the number of ministers not present. So it's hard, right? Because in some way you want to have this great celebration, but in another way people show you what they really feel about you. So it's good and bad. It's great in the sense that people are like, hey, I got amazing emails and cards and people walking up to me with just expressions of what the ministry has meant, and that was so encouraging. But there's also been people that have been on staff for many years, people that have been leaders for many years who didn't say boo to me, right? So it's difficult. So it's good and bad. I still sit with my mother's death. Really the most difficult thing I've ever had to deal with. And, the thing that I most struggle with is, the poor attendance at her funeral, given, her great sacrifice and my great sacrifice to the ministry. And I think when people have an opportunity to show up for you, whether or not they show up for you really determines how they really feel about you. So thank you for those that did show up. Thank you for the acknowledgments. I appreciate that. And I will end also with that same acknowledgement of thank you for the effort and for the work. Again, if you have questions, please put them in so that I can respond to them, okay? So what I want to do today is I want to remind us of what I shared for the last family meeting. And the last family meeting, I reminded the congregation of the tenets of which we built the ministry upon. I want to go over them because they're gonna explain some of the decisions we're making. First of all, visionary leadership. And I don't think anyone has ever doubted that exists within our ministry. We've cast clear vision from day one. I have an expression that you share the vision until it becomes a shared vision, until everyone is embracing it. Our vision, of course, is simply everyone thriving, right? And so that is a real desire for me. Like, I want everyone thriving in every area of their life. That's every staff person, every leader, every member, every partner, and everyone in our community. And so that remains the prevailing focus of the ministry, right, is visionary leadership. Secondly, is the centrality of Jesus, just recognizing that center to this ministry, what it centers is Jesus Christ, which is why I think our ministry is so informal. And most people refer to me as G, right? It's not like a formal, oh my God, here's the pastor, here's the bishop, here's the apostle, because I'm not centered to this ministry. Central to this ministry is Jesus Christ. And so I want to make sure that we're lifting that up in our preaching and our small groups and our worship and all that. Number 3 is biblical preaching. I'm not a hooper. I just a guy that takes a text and tries my best with the help of the Lord to deal with the text, right? So we are a church of biblical preaching. Number 4 is purposeful prayer. This is why we have regular opportunities to pray as a congregation. I want to lift that up and encourage that, on Sunday mornings, really take that prayer moment serious. During the week, when we have opportunities for morning glory prayer on Saturdays or prayer time in the middle of the week, I want to just really encourage us to take advantage of that. We may make a shift at the Bible study time at 6:30 to open up the room for prayer, because I think this issue of purposeful prayer is so important. Listen, nothing happens, family, that doesn't start with prayer. And so, like, really taking a moment. One of the things that blesses me, and I'm going to ask the media department to pick up on this, but one of the things that blesses me when I get here, I usually get here about 6:30 on Sunday mornings in preparation for worship. I do my sound check at 7:05, but one of the things that blesses me when I'm walking through the building in the morning and I see the greeters huddled up in prayer, and I see the stronghold keepers huddled up in prayer, and I see the pastoral support team huddled up in prayer, and then the choir and the praise team is praying. Like, literally, we ground everything out in prayer. That's our fourth tenet. Our fifth tenet is dynamic worship. And you know, we have struggled post COVID. From COVID on, I think worship might be that area of the ministry that we've had the most difficult time recovering from COVID. And so we're trying to make changes around that, because dynamic worship is an element of our worship experience that's important, our tenet that is important. I'm going to be leading us in a change in what worship looks like for the month of May. We're in end of April. What I'm going to do, that's the reason why I played the song that I did, is because I wanted you to hear kind of like unplugged worship, you know, without all the instrumentation, without the loudness, without the volume, just us leaning in, spending time with God in a really private, congregational kind of way. I'm going to design a worship experience for the month of May that lifts that up. And so it'll be a little bit different for all of us. What I want to encourage the congregation about is let's work harder at getting in the room before preaching. You know, I noticed that, you know, when I get up to give emphasis versus when I get up to preach, it's a very different head count. You know, there are a lot more people in the room when I get up to preach. It's almost as if people are like, I'll get there for preaching. And I want to, so that burdens me as a pastor, because I want the whole worship experience to be impactful for people, not just the preaching. And so we're going to change things around a little bit. I'm going to do emphasis and offering as a part of the invitation at the end of service. And this won't happen tomorrow. This will happen starting next week. But just be on the lookout. It'll look a little different. We'll be very descriptive with you in terms of how that needs to, in terms of what is expected of you. What I can tell you is that it'll be less music, more preaching, shorter services, to the point of purposeful worship, dynamic worship. We're also going to change how we do communion. I noticed on first Sundays with the right hand of fellowship, communion, baptism, I mean, we've knocked on the 3-hour door, and that just cannot be. We can't be in church for 3 hours. That's just way too long. And I don't want to, that's never been our culture. It's never been who we are. We've learned how to do church really, really well in 75 to 90 minutes. We built the ministry on that, particularly when we had to have 5 services. And I don't want to get away from the things that got us to where we are. And so we need to tweak that worship piece. And then number 5, is that number 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 6 is sound doctrine. And so you're going to hear me talking more about the doctrines of the systematic theology and doctrines of the church. And I want to be more deliberate and intentional in my sermonic delivery to make sure that we're lifting that up. And then finally, number 7 is social transformation. I do think this is we're making inroads. You heard me make the announcement about the prisons. I'm going to be meeting with the Secretary of Department of Adult Corrections sometime in the month of May to talk about what our ministry can look like in every prison in North Carolina. This is an opportunity, family, really for us to impact our individual communities. We have to do a better job of staying in the community, embracing, saturating ourselves in the community, sharing the gospel, old school door-to-door evangelism, each one reach one. I want to encourage you, get your one. Somebody type that in, get your one. Get your one. What I mean by that is, you know, who have you led to Christ? Who are you inviting to the church? Who are you inviting to attend Bible study with you? And so, you know, I want to lift up our social transformation We should see 100 first-time visitors every Sunday, and we're not, right? So that's an area of improvement for us, and I want to see all of us as a whole congregation lean into that. So let me shift gears. So everything I'm going to say is because I want to lift up those tenets that got us to where we are: visionary leadership, centrality of Jesus, biblical preaching, purposeful prayer, dynamic worship, sound doctrine, social transformation. So where are we to this point? You ready? Drum roll. I should have had a drum roll thing. 210 decisions so far this year. That's crazy, y'all. I think this is what the young folks say. That's crazy work. So 210 decisions this year. Wow. We're not struggling with getting people to join the church. As I've met with Pastor Stephanie and others, I want to make sure we're closing that back door. I want to make sure we're doing great follow-up and follow-through. But 210 decisions in a year, so far in a year, is phenomenal. We're just into the second start of the second quarter, ending of the beginning, the first month of the second quarter. And I am concerned that baptisms are down. And so I'm going to be preaching a sermon, and I'm going to talk about upcoming sermon series in a minute. I want to make sure people are realizing the importance of baptism, because baptism numbers should not be going down when decisions are going up. To the point of decisions, another drum roll. 6,402 decisions so far in the life of this church. That's pretty darn extraordinary. What is that? What is that? Let me see. 6,000. And I'm not sure if that includes everything from our old power church system. But that's 320 decisions a year. And so that factors in the COVID years, right? Where we know decisions, we were still getting decisions, but we weren't getting 300 a year. So congratulations, Word. Who wouldn't serve a God like this? What is not to be proud of with this church? I know we're not perfect, but let me be honest, and let y'all be honest. What ministry have you been a part of that has averaged 300 decisions for 20 straight years? That's phenomenal. And so even with everything that we need to improve upon, man, God is really, really blessing us. God has really been good to us. And I'm grateful for it. I am humbled by all that. So let's move on. Let me tell you. So I talked a little bit about Cash App. We're trying to move our congregation away from Cash App, and we want to move you to Ministry One, writing checks, our text giving process. And let me tell you the main reason. It's not just because Pastor has Cash App issues, although I do. The main reason is because we want to be good stewards. And in our effort to be good stewards, we want to ask our congregation to give on the platform that allows the ministry to receive the most funds because it has the lowest fees. Cash App is amongst our higher fees because we're a business, and so we have to pay fees for all of this. Our Ministry One app, when you click giving on Ministry One, that's the lowest fee that we encounter, okay? So we just want to be good stewards. Our giving has been great. I want to thank you for your giving. I do think there's opportunity, there is opportunity around grants. I still know that the way, my goal is to get us debt free, but I know we're going to need help from the outside. And I'm just typing down grants because I didn't have that in my notes. If you're a grant writer, or if you know someone who is a grant writer, I'm not talking about aspiring to be a grant writer. I'm talking about, Pastor, I know how to write the darn thing and get the money. There's an opportunity for you at Word. I can tell you that. There's absolutely an opportunity for you at Word. While we're on the issue of giving in Ministry One, that is our Shelby platform. That's the platform we use to process all of your information as a member. I want to just encourage you to keep your information updated. I want to encourage you to make sure you have your picture in the system. I want to encourage you not to opt out of messages. Um, I mean, I'm now doing a recap of every Bible study and every Sunday that goes out by way of email. There's information that we send out every Friday with what's upcoming for the weekend. We send out text messages based upon individual groups about what's going on. I cannot emphasize enough, when we say at the end of the announcement reel, don't opt out, opt in, that thing is real. Like, I want to encourage you to really fully participate in that system. While we're talking about that, I want to lift up the issue of small groups. One of my desires is that let's never substitute service for small groups. And what I mean by that is many people are active serving in a ministry but are not active in a small group. They're not being intentional and deliberate, which is why I am now lifting up questions. You can form a small group. It could be your family, right? It could be your fraternity. It could be your civic organization. It could be, it could be entrepreneurs. It could be whatever the case is. Formalize it and then let Pastor Stephanie know so we can get it in the system. So as other people want to participate in it, they can. Okay. What else? Just a reminder to plan your calendar. Let me check for questions real quick, family. Y'all good? All right. Let me see. Let me check for questions. I don't see any. So please, if you have any questions, please go ahead and lift those up. And I'm looking for my ministry operations team to go ahead and respond to those. Listen, let me say this. I want to take a moment of reflection. I thank you for the anniversary. One of the things that I've been really reflective about are the mentors that have guided me along the way to get me where I am. And if I did anything right in life, I think I figured out how to surround myself with impactful people that I could learn from. And as a result of that, I've become somewhat of the byproduct of many of their lessons. I want to lift up a person you don't hear me talk much about because I want us to pray for his family, Dr. Gus Roman. Dr. Roman was the reason I left the United Methodist Church to go to the Baptist Church. And he succeeded Leon Sullivan as the pastor of Zion Baptist Church in Philadelphia. The very first time I heard Gus Roman preach, Gus Roman was preaching at White Rock Baptist Church where Dr. Bill Shaw was the pastor. I'll never forget it. He preached on the challenge to preach in Samaria. That had to have been, that had to have been 30 years ago. Or longer. No, it was longer than that. It had to be 35 years ago. And shortly thereafter, he was pastoring in New York at the time. Shortly thereafter, he got called to Zion Baptist Church. And there was two services, an early service and a later service. And before I went to my later service at my home church, I would go to Zion Baptist, sit in the balcony, and listen to Gus Roman preach. Gus Roman one day looked up at me and he went like this, like, come here after service. I didn't know if he didn't know me from pain, I thought. But the Holy Spirit had put something in his spirit about me. He said, you're a preacher, aren't you? I said, yes, sir, I am. I told him what church I was at. He said, I'd love to have you here. And shortly thereafter, I became a member of Zion Baptist Church under the leadership of Dr. Gus Roman. And shortly thereafter, he assigned me to a Sunday school group. Y'all have heard me tell this story. And that Sunday school group grew from one student to hundreds. And then shortly, not a few years later, Gus Roman resigned as pastor of Zion Baptist Church. I began teaching the Tuesday night Bible study. And then after that, I left to go to Triumph Baptist Church, where I spent the remainder of my time with Pastor Hall. Well, Gus Roman has gone on to be with the Lord, and his funeral is going to be on Friday, May 9th at Canaan Baptist Church, where he pastored for many years before he went to Zion Baptist Church. And so I just want to ask that we lift up Dr. Gus Roman's family. He was very impactful for me. Very impactful for me. I learned a lot from Dr. Gus Roman. I don't know, y'all. We're going to leave here, man. And I was looking at, he recorded a video about 20 minutes long of his final words. And I looked at it yesterday as I was tweaking, as I took a break from tweaking Sunday's sermon. And I just want us to take a moment, y'all, reflect upon the people that helped us get where we are and the people that have made sacrifices so we can be where we are. So let me see. Homecoming weekend, next thing on my schedule. I got 15 more minutes. Homecoming weekend, if y'all out there, somebody type in, I'm out there. Homecoming weekend is now in September. So the weekend of September 20th is going to be homecoming. It's going to be HBCU Divine Nine weekend. It's Down East Classic for Elizabeth City State. So just mark your calendars. We're not going to do homecoming in October. It's in September this year. We're just trying something new, y'all. That has been kind of what we've always been as a church, is a culture of change. Let's just see if something different will work. And so I want to just lift that up and remind you all to mark your calendars, plan accordingly. We're going to have, sneaker ball that Friday night and family fest on Saturday, and then HBCU Divine Nine homecoming weekend on Sunday, etc. So just be mindful of all that. Care reports. Listen, look at your neighbor and tell them, word is good, but we don't read minds. Somebody type that in. We don't read minds. And so, yeah, the Holy Spirit will put something in our spirit from time to time, of course. But family, we don't read minds. So if you're sick, we need to know. If you have something to celebrate, we need to know. If you have a prayer request, we need to know. And we have great systems in place that work when we know. And so I just really want to lift that up. The whole point of being a part of a family is so that we can do life together. And so I want to lift that up before you and ask you, please, please, please know your district leader, know your care leader. If you're under 29 and you've not had a one-on-one appointment with Pastor Kyle, you should do that. He's recuperating right now, so it may have to be in the summer months when you do that. If you are over 30 and you've never met with Pastor Stephanie, you need to do that. I do one-on-ones every week with our members. It blesses me. It delights me. But I want you also to know our pastoral staff. And so if you're interested in doing something in the community, you need to get with Pastor Trishanda. If you're interested in doing something on East City campus, or if you're on East City campus a lot, schedule a virtual meeting with Pastor Rhonda. And so we have these systems in place. I want to really encourage them, and I want to lift them up. This Thursday is National Day of Prayer, and we're going to do something we've not done before. At least I don't think we've done it before, but I'm not sure. Anyway, we're going to have prayer. We're going to have prayer breakfast. So it'll be about 75 minutes long. We have 5 people or so praying. We're going to pray for families. We're going to pray for churches and government. We're going to pray for leaders. We're going to pray for our nation. So we're going to have breakfast, and then we're just going to move right in and pray as we're eating. And it's going to be a great, great time, I'm sure. So I just want to encourage the congregation. We're not requiring registration for this. It's this Thursday. What is that, May 1st? Is that right? Let me see. I got questions coming in, but I just want to make sure I have that date right. Yep, Thursday, May 1st. So Thursday, May 1st, National Day of Prayer. I think the breakfast, I'm not sure of the time. Maybe Pastor Stephanie can put it in, or maybe in your announcements for this week, and we'll emphasize it tomorrow. But it's like 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So National Day of Prayer. Pastor Kyle sent me a bunch of notes on next generation stuff, and so I just want to lift them up. If you want to serve as an investor, so we have to get 8 a.m. children's church, children's nursery open. Have to do it. It is one of the hindrances to our continued growth, even though we are growing without it. But we're turning families away, and that just ought not be. And so we just need somebody. You just need to volunteer once a month. That's it. Once a month at 8 o'clock. And so I just want to encourage that. Please reach out to Pastor Kyle, Kelly Regal, Ayanna Cooper, but I want to make sure we get that done. So if you go to Ministry One app, you click on the NextGen tile, and then you click on becoming an investor. Okay, and so if you do that, it'll kind of weave you right into what's needed. Tonight, and from 6 to 8, they're going to be at the bowling center, young adult bowling night. We really want to grow this young adult group, and we want to create some fellowship opportunities, some growth opportunities, and so there's an opportunity for that tonight. And there is a NextGen Family Fun Day on Saturday, May 31st. So mark your calendar for that. Be on the lookout for that. That's at Sunset Park. I think that would be a great day for us as a church to evangelize the community around Sunset Park. And so we could get there an hour and a half early as a church and knock on a few doors, give some invite cards, invite people to church, witness to people. And just a reminder, there's a special luncheon June 1st in our banquet room as we celebrate our high school graduates and our young adults and the recipients of our ambassador scholarships. And so this has been a staple for our ministry, and I'm so excited. We have a lot of young people headed to college. I don't know if it's the highest ever, but it feels like it. So there's a lot. I won't start calling names, but we've got them going, man. And I'm gonna have to start doing tours on these campuses and taking y'all out to eat. So just want to lift all of you up. I'm so proud of you. Speaking of pride, I gotta tell y'all, I looked at social media on Prime Night. I was so proud of our members. They were dressed so elegantly with such sophistication. It wasn't, inappropriate. Their body wasn't hanging all out. I just want to shout out the parents and the young people that just represented well with pride. Y'all looked great. I'm really proud of y'all. Okay, we had a question about the radio show. My radio show in black and white. When is it beginning back? I'm way overdue. I'm proud to report the studio is finished. We should probably be piloting this week, if not this week, next week in the new studio, kind of making sure all the technology works and it does what we needed to do. I'm rebranding the show. It will no longer be called In Black and White. I'm rebranding everything Until All Thrive. You'll see that there will be t-shirts that say Until All Thrive. The end of my email, it says Until All Thrive. My show is going to be called Until All Thrive. It literally becomes, it is the reason for my existence. Like, I want everyone to do well. Beloved, I pray that you would be in health and prosper in all things, even as your soul prospers, is 3 John. And so that is my prayer. I just want people doing well. I want people prospering and thriving. And I want to dedicate the rest of my life to that. I think I've dedicated most of my life to it, but I certainly want to dedicate the rest of my life to it. Summer upcoming sermon series, almost done. Let me check questions, y'all. Let's see where we are. Here we go. Question for thought. Short classes for those of us who don't know or understand things like online giving, AI, texting, leadership. Short classes. So it's funny that should be lifted up, because one of the things that I'm going to commit to for this summer, we take a break in July and August. And one of the things that I'm going to commit to is some content creation around those very things. Also, we are going to be offering an church-wide AI opportunity at some point this summer. It'll be on a Tuesday. Instead of a Bible study, we'll bring everybody back in. So that is going to be offered. I plan on scheduling that this week. And there's going to be an AI emphasis for E4 conference next year. So just as an FYI. Does a grant writer have to be a member of Word? You do not. You do not need to be a member of Word. Because of our Impact Academy, we now have, an ever increasing population of people that are staff that are not members. Because I think at some point you can grow, even though I do believe everything the body needs is inside the body. I think we have to broaden our definition of the body, and that body is beyond just Word Tabernacle. It's the body of Christ, right? So yes, you do not have to be a member. From Denise Morgan, will you kindly consider labeling the balcony level seating sections with numbers or letters? I've gotten lost in church trying to find my way back to my seating section after altar call. It's and Pastor Stephanie said the prayer conference is at 8:30. I mean, the prayer breakfast is at 8:30. Listen, so Denise, it's funny you should raise that. We're actually working on that. I didn't think about it from that perspective, but we thought about it from the perspective of security. And so we're actually labeling the entire sanctuary. And on some of our poles, there'll be letters. On the doors, there'll be numbers. And so people will be able to say, hey, I'm at A1, or meet me at door C3, or whatever the case is. So we are working on that project. It will probably be done by the end of next month, the end of May. So no worries. It is a big room. It is easy to get lost, and I got you. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in because I'm going to be winding us up, okay? So, upcoming sermon series. I'm going to finish up the current sermon series, Divine Disruptions, tomorrow. I'm going to be preaching on, I'm working some things out. And I think we're all working some things out, right? So I'm preaching that out of the denial, the doubt of the disciples in Matthew chapter 28. And so that'll be my sermon for tomorrow. Upcoming sermon series, the next 4 months, the next 16 weeks. I'm going to do one sermon series called Faith Under Fire. I've been really praying through what it looks like when people are struggling with their faith. And so I'm subtitling this Hard Questions in a Hurting World. And I want to try to deal with things that I think people have questions about. So I'm going to tell you what I'm covering. I'm going to talk, first week is about theodicy. Why does God allow pain? If God is a loving, kind God, then why is the world a mess? I'm going to talk about church division and why sometimes we can be all over the place in terms of our doctrinal belief, etc. I'm going to spend a week preaching on our purpose, understanding what God's purpose for me is, what God's calling me to do. I'm going to do a sermon on forgiveness in the midst of pain. Like, how do I forgive you when I'm still hurting? Right? Bleeding but believing. I'm going to do a sermon in that series on the necessity of the Black church. I'm going to do a sermon on that series on how we heal from generational trauma and how we break the chains of the past of our generations. I'm going to do a sermon on the importance of men in our society and specifically in the church, and then about being saved and successful and socially responsible. So those are going to be my sermons. I know some people are going to cringe when I say this. I'm feeling led to go back to an old model. And the old model was I didn't exactly preach the same sermon at 8 and 10. And so I'm probably going back to that model where I'm probably going to preach a different message at 8. I mean, it'll be the same text, but I'm going to take it from a different lens. And then after that series, I'm going to do, so that'll give me May and June. I want to spend July and August. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, but I particularly feel led to do it with so many young people going off to college. So that first series is called Faith Under Fire. Then I'm going to shift, and I'm going to do a series called Grown Folks Faith. I've been wanting to do a series on adulting for a long time. So I want to do a series on how we master the art of adulting. And so I'm going to talk about embracing our spiritual maturity, how we grow up. I'm going to talk about being accountable and not giving excuses. So that's going to be called Own Up. Then I'm going to do one called Work It, which is about being productive and passionate, having work ethic. Then I'm going to do one on finances called Spend It Right. Then I'm going to do one called Control Yourself, which is about how we master our emotions. Then I'm going to do one called Choose Wisely, which is going to be on friends and love and decision making. And then finally, I'm going to do a sermon on integrity and influence. And so I'm going to spend some time on adulting in the month of July and August. So that's what's going on here, family. I'm I want to go ahead and close this out because I said this would be 45 minutes and I'm right at 42. I want to end where I began with, again, thanking you. I do want to tell y'all this has been, it's been 20 years here, 25 years in pastoral ministry for me. This is by far the most difficult season of pastoring that I personally have witnessed. And I'm trying to make adjustments in the ministry so that things are less stressful for me and for everybody, and also more impactful. And so there are things that we need to fix. Know that I'm actively working on fixing them. And I know every decision won't, be agreed upon, but just know that I'm trying to get it right. And I want people to hear my heart about that. I want to pastor you well. I want to serve you well. So if there are no more questions, I'm going to pray us out of here. I'm going to check one last time to just make sure there are no final questions. And, oh, that's a great point. What about the newsletter that usually comes through email on Thursday? We had some staff shifts, and as a result of that, we've gotten behind. I'm anticipating the next newsletter to hit first week of May. So I'm expecting something May 1st. Thank you for your patience. The newsletter. So we have Family Matters and we have Intersections. Family Matters is going to start coming out like twice a month. And then Intersections is going to be more like 6 times a year. And so it's a lot of work that goes into that. And let me just say this, y'all. A part of what we're dealing with is, I told you we added 210 people. We're growing, but we're not adding people to serve quick enough. And so there are people that are tasked with multiple ministries. And as a result of that, it's hard for them to get to everything. And so I just want to really encourage you that if you're not serving in a ministry, I really want to encourage you to commit 4 hours a month to some ministry, because we need you. The kingdom needs you. And you have a gift that God needs desperately. So again, I want to end with a thank you for all that you do. Thank you for your giving. Thank you for your acknowledgement of me as your pastor. Thank you for trusting my leadership. And thank you for trusting your growth with me as a pastor. Thank you for 20 years of church ministry here at Word Tabernacle, 25 years of pastoral ministry. Hey, y'all, let's keep doing kingdom work. Let's keep doing this thing that God is calling us to do. So, Lord, I thank you for everyone on this call. I thank you for everything that you're doing in the life of Word Tabernacle. I thank you for every church who's opened in your name. I thank you for every member and every partner and every leader. I want to lift up the family of Dr. Gus Roman as he is being funeralized this week. I pray God blessings upon his life. I thank you for his life. I thank you for his influence. I thank you for the opportunity that he gave me to begin teaching in the kingdom and the church. And so I pray for his wife and children. I pray for the members of his congregations in Philadelphia and New York that he pastored. And I pray, God, for our entire congregation now. I pray the work we do would matter. I pray it would honor you. I pray it would glorify you. I pray we would do it with intentionality. I pray we would do it with zeal. I pray we would do it with a positive attitude. I pray we would do it with excitement and enthusiasm and energy. And I pray now your blessings over each of us. Give us a great remainder of our Saturday. For it's in Jesus' name we pray together. And everybody said amen. Would you go ahead and share this with somebody and say, check out the coffee chat. I will see you at 8 or at 10 in the morning. Have a great day.